Hey everyone, Doug here with B&H, and today we're taking a look at a new innovative light, the Nanlux Evoke 1200B bicolor LED spotlight. Nanlux continues to build off the success they found in the original Evoke 1200 just a year ago, and the 1200B makes a great leap forward in creating versatile gear aimed at professional productions. As you'll soon see, the Nanlux Evoke 1200B offers superb light quality by adapting two 1200-watt bicolor LED chips in dot matrix format. It features higher light efficiency, such that at 5600K, luminance levels get up to 61,030 lux at 3 meters, and that is rated with a particular reflector, but we'll get to that in a bit. This does put it into PAR or HMI Fresnel territory. Boom, all right, so 100%. This should also give you sufficient light for ultra-high speed shooting, so you shouldn't have to worry about flicker at higher frame rates. The Evoke 1200B allows more flexibility with its variable CCT range of 2700 Kelvin all the way up to 6500 Kelvin, and features excellent color rendering with a CRI of 96 and a TCLI of 97. So we visited a studio location to take advantage of a few different sets and props lying around, and those did dictate the kind of lighting setups we'd even attempt in the space. We also tried to rely on simple one-light setups here to show the kind of raw power the 1200B has, though in one instance we used Nanlight's Pavo tube lights to splash some color in the scene, and in another we used it as very, very light fill. Okay, so setup one, we're gonna go for a nice morning sunrise in a bedroom. We got a lovely bed here, and as you can see, we've got some pretty garish fluorescent lighting in the building right now. That's all gonna go off, don't worry. How about we make you a model? Ugh. Big boy. Positioning the light up high and angling it down was the most important part of the look, and within moments of lifting the light up, we started to see the scene taking shape. Now that's only at 9% power and dialed down to 2700K for a little extra warmth. The shot was just a bit too bright though. So this is our first attempt. As you can see, this is really harsh. It is what I wanted, but it might be a bit too much. I was noticing that the chair, we get some of the shadow detail still, which is good, I want that. But this wall here is way too overblown, and you can see it on my face. I'm super contrasty right now. Dialing it down is not necessarily what I want to do, because I do kind of like how harsh it is, but we need to focus this a bit more. You generally want to avoid splashing light like this, and normally you would shape the light with flags or barn doors. Now luckily, we have just the thing. This is the FL35YK. This is the Fresnel attachment. As you can see, it goes right on the front of the lens. I'm sorry, not the lens. It goes right on the front of the light. The FL35YK Fresnel lens attachment transforms the Evoke 1200B into a fully featured Fresnel light, complete with barn doors. Now we had to take down the Evoke because then you have to mount the Fresnel onto it and then remount the whole unit back onto the stand using the dedicated yoke of the modifier. After some repositioning and focusing of the Fresnel lens element, I found a sweet spot and settled on that. The result is much more focused to the bed frame, and the spill falls out much more nicely on the wall without that distracting brightness from before. Our second setup needed a little bit more color to keep things interesting and also to give some possible context to the lighting. I couldn't motivate a window light here like before, so it just wasn't gonna cut it. Instead, we used the Evoke 1200B as a powerful, soft fill light with color splashes coming from the two Pavo tubes to resemble the ambient glows of signage or light fixtures you might see in a lounge or a club. Now, to achieve this, we used the Lantern Softbox 120 NLM modifier. After a bit of fiddling, we figured out how to lock it into place and mount it to the light. So let's throw some color here. I happen to have Nanlight's tube lights as well, and I'm gonna splash a little bit of a pinkish, magenta, purpley type of color. And then over here, I'm gonna throw a little green. Now, the motivation here can be a little bit of everything. I'm gonna imagine that this is sort of the spill light that you would get maybe in a lounge or bar type setup. So you've got some neon signs everywhere, you got some scattered lights that are just splashing color all over the talent. Now, we're gonna just add a tiny bit of fill. So we'll keep it at an astonishingly low 4%. You're probably asking, why have this huge light if it's just filling in at such a low output? Well, perhaps we can use the Evoke's effects mode to give a little bit more context to the scene. Okay, now let's say you get a little tired of this. This is kind of flat after all. It's just a fill light, some color. If we really want to bring some life to the scene, a little more action, something happening in the background, we can leverage the effects mode here. And so I'm just gonna switch over to effect right now, and I chose welding before. Let's say it's a club. There's some stuff going on in the background, some music playing, lights flashing. So we're gonna go and just lower this dimming from 0.1 to 0.2. So it's a very small range. The Evoke does give you an easy menu to customize the effect, including brightness range, frequency of the effect, and of course the CCT base. Now you can see in the shot here that you're getting this, intermittent flicker. So it could kind of look like, just the off-camera lighting that's going on, that you have no idea where it's coming from, but it's contaminating the scene, so to speak, adding a little extra flair. How's it going out there tonight?
Thoroughly so-so.
Thoroughly so-so. Meet anybody?
No, but I haven't gotten up from the couch yet either.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of construction and welding going on right now.
Yeah, what is that?
They just came in here out of nowhere.
New York City, I tell ya.
Our last demo took a similar approach in that we continued to use the effects mode, but after 2 tests where we didn't even breach 10% of the light's possible output, I had to put those 1200 watts to work. So for our last test, I want to see how we can really utilize the full 100% output of the light. Now, it isn't that dark yet. It's getting dark, as you can see. It's overcast today because it's raining. It's actually great because it's exactly what I want. I want to create a storm. But I want it to be, a little darker later at night when it's maybe becoming dusky. Sun's gone at this point, but it's still just light enough for you to kind of make out the sky. Still, it was very obviously daytime, so to start, this scene required us to add 4 stops of ND filtration to the lens, bringing down the window light to something closer to dusk, and also blacking out the majority of the indoor space in the process. So if you look at this camera, it's reasonably bright, decently exposed. There is obviously some light coming in from here and it's fairly soft. I also have some fill lights over here in the form of the tube lights from before. But if you look at the cinema camera, it's a completely different story. Now this I have set up for 3200 Kelvin, which keeps it even cooler than it's supposed to be because it's set for indoor tungsten light. These lights are technically blue, they're very desaturated, but they are blue light. And the Evoke 1200B, it's not on yet, but I have it set up for a storm effect going all the way from 0 to 100% in rapid flashing successions. And that's actually going at a 6500 CCT, so it's a little on the cooler side. Combine that with the white balance on the camera, and it creates this really blue, dusky look, which is exactly what we're looking for. So one more thing is we're using just one more modifier. This is the RF NLM26. I mentioned it in the beginning of the video. It's the longer version of the included reflector. This is separate, by the way. But this is what gives you the full rating of 61,030 lux. So combine that with 100% output and it should give quite the lightning show. Yeah, oof, that is bright. 100% intensity from 0 to 100 in just split seconds, and it lights up the entire scene. As you can see, when our fictitious lightning strikes, our subject's face is revealed. Surely, the mood is just right for him to contemplate vengeance or whatever other tragedy he's got going on. The sheer intensity of the Evoke's lighting effect really shows in the BTS footage though, where the walls and ceiling simply blow out. And let me tell you, it hurts to stare into a light that bright. The modifiers on this light are just incredible because they really step it up from a bright open source into a controllable, bright, powerful tool that you can use on almost any set. And it really, I can't stress enough just how powerful this light is, even at low percentages. I'm talking 2 to 5%. You can do an interview with that if you have other lights as well. But once you start cranking it, you can do things like this, where you're completely changing things from darkness to light. So now that we've gone through some example cases, let's just talk about the flexibility of this light. With the Evoke 1200B, you're able to simulate natural sunlight from a sunrise to daylight to sunset. Let's go turn this towards the wall. Now, I'm just gonna start turning this up. That right there is 0.3%. Now I'm gonna crank this a little bit to, that is now 10%. So already at 10% of the light, I am very well lit. The advanced bicolor light mixing ensures continuity and accuracy at any point in the CCT range, which also means that it produces a constant output through the CCT range without any intensity shift at all. When dimming other lights, you may notice sudden jumps from the 0 to the first percentage of illumination. However, the Evoke 1200B is very fine-tuned from 0 to 100% in 0.1% increments to provide smooth, fluid dimming, and this really is apparent on set. Those sudden jumps between 0 to 1% are eliminated, and it really shows in working at very low outputs. If I go all the way down to 0, right, and just gently push it 0.1, that's 0.1. You probably can't even see it, but that's 0.1 and that's 0. That's 0.2 and that's 0. So you can get these really gentle gradations in 0.1 increments. That's 1%, which means that with the really wide throw you have on the dial here on the dimmer, you can get some very, very fine control over how you dim and control the light. This allows you to really not dial in that exposure. So again, I can crank it. I'm still only at 10, 15, 26 or so. It's taking a while, which means you can really lock it in. The variable CCT mode allows users to choose from a range of 2700K to 6500K, as you saw before. And that, of course, comes in handy not just for accurate color temperature, but for achieving warmer or cooler tones when the scene calls for it. So if I swing this around and we take a look at the menus here, everything's pretty cleanly laid out. You got two main dials here for exposure and temperature, and of course your inputs and outputs. So USB, DMX in and out, DC in coming from the ballast switches down there, and then the main menu system here. It's really cleanly laid out. You don't have to do that much diving to get where you need to. So for example, we start in CCT mode, dimming is here, but color temperature is just right here. Now I can go from 2700 all the way to 6500, not the widest range, but it does cover most situations. The real special stuff though comes with the effects mode. Now here we have TV. I'm gonna switch around for a little bit. All right, like candle fire mode. So, this is a nice, slow, pulsing light. The nice thing here, though, is that unlike a lot of lights that have these features, everything is listed right below it. So all the parameters, the dimming range, the CCT base, and the speed of the effect itself. So then let's say we want it, maybe a little bit faster at 100. So that's at 100%. Or we could crank it down all the way to 3. And then the dimming, we could make this range very wide. So 0 to 40.7%. The body of the 1200B is made from aluminum die casting alloys. The weight of the bare light fixture is kept at 7.75 kilograms or about 17 pounds, which I know is not that light, but keep in mind that comes in at only 70% of a comparable 1.8K HMI. Now when it comes to transporting and carrying these kinds of lights, the Evoke has a clear advantage here. Power is connected by an included 7.5 meter DC cable as standard, but there are optional 10 meter and 12 meter cables as well if you need to make a longer cable run. The self-locking connector allows for an easy, secure connection. The quick-release super clamp and offset yoke come as standard, which can secure the power supply on a light stand or truss and makes quick swapping the lamp heads easier. Now, lights don't get as hot as they used to, but heat dissipation is still important and necessary, especially at these wattages. The Evoke 1200B has a brand new heat management system that optimizes dissipation while keeping a compact design both internally and externally. There's a fan control system that offers variable fan speeds depending on the set, and you can toggle between 4 modes as needed: smart, full speed, low speed, and if you can manage it, off. Both the lamp head and the power supply of the Evoke 1200B are built in a hermetically sealed structure and are rated IP54 to withstand inclement weather or extreme conditions, meaning the whole unit can tolerate cold, heat, and humidity very well. So that is it for our time with the Nanlux Evoke 1200B. Like I said, it built a lot on last year's 1200, but having a bicolor option here, especially in this very well mixed bicolor format that maintains light intensity through the range, is honestly hard to go back from. Once you see something like that on set, you can dial it in very precisely. You can get exactly what you need, the right color temperature, not just for accuracy, but for creative intent, and it works beautifully. Couple that with all of the modifiers that I had at my disposal, and it's a fantastically versatile light. So that's it. Let us know how you could use the Nanlux Evoke 1200B on your next film set. I'm Doug with B&H, and I'll see you next time.